What is up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of the Dense Pixels podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brad, joined by my co-host, Micah.
Hey, Brad, looking like a very dapper, like a very dapper duck caller, like like a man who saws logs by day, but goes out on the town by night.
There you go. Like I said, I finally got a haircut. It was very nerve-wracking. And they did not trim my beard, so I had to do that myself. So
it looks good. Looks good.
Back up off your mic a little bit because you're popping like crazy since you got no pop screen.
Pop.
There's a little inside baseball for you guys. Speaking of baseball, I talked ever so briefly, either last week or 2 weeks ago, that I've been noodling around with the demo for Super Mega Baseball 3 on the Nintendo Switch. It's also available on PS4 and Xbox One. And so Switch does this thing where it tracks the playtime of all your games, sort of. Like it'll tell you in like 5-hour increments how much time you spent in a game, essentially. And I kept like deleting the demo, and I was like, I'm not gonna pay $45 to pick up the whole game, even though it's fun. And then I would I got a hankering to play some baseball. I download the demo again. I play it some more, delete it, download it again, play it some more. It's free. And then like I looked and I've logged like 6 hours or 5 hours at it, just playing the demo for Super Mega Baseball 3. Speaking of which, by the way, one thing that Switch does excellently and I get the technical limitations as to why more games don't have demos nowadays, but what better way to sell your game? You know what I mean? But let try a slice for free. It's one of the things I kind of miss about the PS1 era, especially. I think was the most ripe for game demos.
Yeah, they were throwing those things at you.
Right, like you couldn't buy regular magazines without finding a PlayStation demo disc inside of those. So I finally caved in and I spent the $45 and bought the full release for the game. This game sits in a nice place for me because I don't have the time or the inclination to play like super hardcore simulation sports games anymore. I just don't. They're too much of a dedication. They take way too much of your time, and it's hard to play other stuff around them. Even FIFA, like this year's FIFA, I have barely played, just because I don't have the gumption for it. So the show is kind of outside of what I want to do, but I still desire something more than like an RBI baseball type of experience than a very arcadey or just simple baseball experience. And I think Super Mega Baseball fits the bill nicely. I mentioned when I talked about it before briefly, to look at it, you wouldn't think that it's a simulation baseball game.
Yeah, I'm looking at it like, oh, okay, these big-headed characters, everyone is drawn like a caricature.
Yeah.
This must be like the NFL blitz of baseball.
It's not. It is very much a sim-driven baseball game, like a stat and attribute-driven baseball game, but it doesn't have the bogged down nature that something like the show has. And that sounds like a downside, but it's actually not. It's actually quite nice to have something that's a little bit more pick up and play friendly than something like the show would be. The cool thing about the game as well is the gameplay kind of reminds me of like a step above where like a Ken Griffey Jr. baseball would sit. And it's very accessible, but the difficulty level is extremely customizable because they have the difficulty level is a skill that they call ego, quite appropriately, where you can where the more ego you have, the higher you can jack the difficulty. But there's also a point system in the game, and you get a bigger multiplier when you go to higher difficulty levels, and they have like leaderboards and stuff like that as well. But it's a 100-point scale. Like it has a lot of space in the difficulty levels so that as you get better at the game, you can crank it up, and if you really want a harder challenge, you can really jack it up there. But if you just want to pick up and play something casually, you can keep the difficulty level relatively low. There's I want to say there's like 15 or 16 pre-made teams in the game that are all relatively balanced. They have like a franchise mode. They have a couple different online modes as well. And they also have a pretty cool like team editor that it's got a kind of rudimentary but a step above like logo editor and jersey editor and stuff like that. So if you like to noodle around with those sort of things, if you like sports games but you don't want like a hardcore sim and you're looking for a baseball game, take a look at this, or at least download the demo on the Nintendo Switch. Give it a try. I'm quite enjoying it so far. I wasn't expecting to desire a baseball game ever again, really, but I guess not having baseball has made the heart grow fonder. Because I read somewhere the other day that the Orioles would have already played half their season already had it not been for COVID-19, and that blows my mind that that's a true statement of fact.
Now the question is, what would their record be by now?
Oh, the Orioles? Oh, probably something abysmal. Like probably like maybe, 30 wins, 51 losses, or worse than that, perhaps. They weren't slated to be very good this year. But then again, the Orioles are hot starters. So with the 60-game MLB season that they're going to be rolling out here, perhaps the Orioles might have a chance coming out of the gate strong. Speaking of coming out of the gate strong, games with gold for the month of July. I didn't even screen these, so I don't know how strong out of the gate these games with gold actually are. We'll see. Looks like in July, if you are an Xbox One owner, from July 1st to 31st, you get WRC 8, FIA World Rally Championship, which is a rally car racing game. And then from July 16th to August 15th, you get to download Dunk Lords, a 2-on-2 basketball beat 'em up with 20 characters and a story mode. So if you want what I'm assuming is a very watered down version of the game that you see behind me, then you can check out Dunk Lords for free. And then on Xbox 360, also downloadable on Xbox One, from the 1st to the 15th of July, you can download Saints Row 2, and then Juju, a cartoony platformer, is going to be available from July 16th through the 31st. Not to be outdone, PlayStation Plus celebrates its 10-year anniversary, if you can believe that it's been 10 years since PlayStation Plus.
You are old.
We are all old. And they've decided to celebrate with a bonus game that no one's ever heard of. The two main games that you get this month are NBA 2K20. It seems like NBA 2K going free on PlayStation Plus is a summer tradition, much like any other. So you can get that for free. And also something that I'm quite happy that I've held out all this time to buy, Rise of the Tomb Raider, the 20-year celebration edition is free as well. This is the second of the Tomb Raider trilogy that has made its way onto more current generation hardware. And then a bonus game is called Erica. It's a feature-length cinematic experience that merges high-fidelity Hollywood production values with engaging tactile gameplay.
I'm looking at just the why do I have to give my age for this Erica thing?
Because it's we're rated, Micah.
Apparently, I'm just glancing through the trailer, and I don't know if this is for me. This is harkening back to the days of Sewer Shark and
Night Trap.
Night Trap. Yeah.
What's wild to me is that they didn't go harder in the paint with the 10-year anniversary. You'd think that you would have really come out strong with a couple offerings that really, I mean, not that these are bad games at all, 2K basketball and Rise of the Tomb Raider, but I don't know. I just felt by the
yeah, it's like when we have a milestone episode. Hey, it's our 300th episode, and it's just like every other episode.
Who are we to talk? And there's no new games coming out this week, but there is a new 200-player mode update coming to Call of Duty Warzone that comes in the form of like a 26 gigabyte patch that you have to install later this week to get 200 people playing on the map simultaneously. That's a lot of people, Micah. That's far more than any other Battle Royale game that I'm aware of has ever endeavored to do.
Yeah, because it's all about quantity, I guess. No, I mean, I hear that game is very fun. So, hey, good on them. If you can get 200 people to stay in the house instead of, going out and doing whatever, going out and spreading their COVID-ridden, bodies all over the place, then, more power to them. Go to youtube.com/densepixels. When you go there, first, subscribe. Second, click on this video. When you click on this video of the show that you're listening to right now, you're going to take a look at Brad and say, wow, Brad's got some razzle dazzle. He's heating up. And then you're gonna be like, yo, look at the slick back hair. He's on fire. And then you're gonna look around and you're gonna notice that Brad's setup is a little bit different. And you're gonna go, whoa, kaboom! And you're gonna see the NBA Jam 1-Up arcade cabinet, and you're gonna go, boom shakalaka, that was it. That's the big thing that's changed. And if you want to see that, and I see it now. I is that on a riser?
It is on a riser, yes.
Okay, yeah. I still feel like I might get a little bit of scoliosis if I stand.
But again, it has the stool that you can sit as well. So
there you go. Yeah, because we are the height of normal men. We're gonna need a stool.
Of just men, really. It's just men.
Go to youtube.com/DensePixels, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification button to be notified when we drop a new video. New videos every week. Go to youtube.com/DensePixels, subscribe, bro. While you're just subscribing like a subscription whore, you can subscribe to all of the TMP Studios podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, including the Nerdopocalypse, the flagship show, Black on Black Cinema, Coming Distractions, and the weekly preview episode of Look Forward. If that's not enough, and you know it's not, go to densepixels.com/premium. For $5 a month or $50 a year, you get access to all of the premium shows on this network, including the airing of Grievances, which we will schedule very soon. No Time to Bleed, which is in the can. Jay accidentally dropped it a little early, so if you got it, you know what it is. But he pulled it back because he wants it to be for July. So the July No Time to Bleed episode is up, and it is fun. It's just a fun movie. The Men with the Golden Tongues, our James Bond /spy movie podcast. Upstage Conversation, our musical podcast, and the full episodes of the Look Forward Political podcast. Look, there's always something going on. Look Forward is being recorded as we speak. Mm-hmm. So you will get the up to the minute as of right now when I am saying these words, not when you are hearing them, recording of the news. Densepixels.com/premium.
Big news, Micah. Big news. Outrageous news. Huge news that nobody ever expected. Fortnite is out of early access. I didn't realize that it was even in early access, technically still.
Jesus.
It's been around for years now at this point. They've gone through 2 highly successful seasons of content since they even started doing seasons, and it was around for like 18 months before that was even
Yeah, you know what this means now. Now they're gonna really, you're really gonna pay tooth and nail for this free game.
I feel like that the early access thing is just someone like forgot to like. It's like when you forget to take the parking brake off your car, but it's not engaged fully, and so you're still able to drive a little ways before you realize that you look at the brake indicator still on. You're like, oh shit, you gotta take it off real quick. I feel like that's what it is. I once got on the highway with my parking brake still on. I guess it really wasn't engaged at all. It was like 695. All the way out there. But the arguably bigger news with this is that Epic has said it's reversing its plans. Originally, it was going to make the Save the World cooperative mode of Fortnite, which is what you typically have to pay for with Fortnite, free to play, and slow down development of the mode. I would imagine because no one gives a shit about Fortnite Save the World when Fortnite Battle Royale is a tremendous phenomenon. Though it's getting a new feature, which is like a season-long excursion that takes place in a unique seasonal zone. See, to me, like if they're going to scale back development and not do the free-to-play thing for Save the World, that to me that's like a harbinger of it's going to go away eventually.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I mean, no one uses it, right? Like, so yeah, I have to imagine that they were in they were in this early access phase to see who's actually playing what's making us the most money, what is making us the most profitable video game, one of the more profitable video games of all time, and it's showing Save the World.
Right. So again, I'd be curious to see the usage rates of Save the World. If even 10% of Fortnite players have ever played Fortnite Save the World,
I've not.
surprised.
I mean, I only kind of know about Fortnite through osmosis, but even then, I've never heard of this mode before.
Right. Well, if again, for those of you that don't know, the Save the World mode is originally what Fortnite was. It wasn't until later that the Battle Royale mode was a add-on that they did, a side project, and changed the course of video games forever. So, so there's that. In games that aren't doing very well. So Amazon, I don't think we've talked about this on the show. So their big game, their big team shooter that they released a few weeks back, Crucible, has not really caught the imagination, let's say, of the game playing world. Within a week after release, they were all the way down to hundreds of concurrent players playing the game at a time, which is not a lot of people, especially for a game that I can't imagine how many millions of dollars were spent on development. So starting on July 1st at 9 a.m. Pacific time, the game is being taken from fully released, going back into closed beta. And so it was a free-to-play game. So if you already have it, you can still play it for now. And unfortunately, new players cannot get into it now while they go back to the drawing board, I guess, and fix things.
Is
not going so good.
Is this is very like corporate, right? Like a corporation sees that something is popular and making a lot of money, and they want in on that action, right? So they Tony Stark built this in a cave with a bunch of scraps, right? Like, why can't you do this?
It's such an obvious
and it's like
Jeff. Now imagine Jeff Bezos growing like a giant, like Obadiah Stane beard, and like bulking up by 50 pounds just so that he can pull the look off.
Like is video games something that normally like something like this could work, right? Like, because that's why they have like patents and shit. That's why patent law exists, because once somebody figures something out, everyone does their own spin. But with video games, sometimes it's successful, like with the plastic instrument phase that we faced. But other times, like this, the hero shooter, there's a bunch of hero shooters out there, but there are only a couple that actually are worth a damn. And I won't even say that are worth a damn, that are profitable, right? Like, there are a ton of battle royale games. But Fortnite is like the bee's knees, and it wasn't even the first one. Like, what is it about video game genre that can do that, right? Like movies, you got Deep Impact and Armageddon, right? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, one of them is obviously better, but like they still come out and they still make money. But when it happens with video games, when it fails, it feels like a colossal failure. Like, you can say, "Oh, we're going back to closed beta," but no, this is a failure. This is going into closed beta and probably never going to be opened again.
So, but it's more colossal in the face when you look at who's bankrolling.
Right.
Like, Amazon has endless amounts of resources that they can throw at this thing. And usually with video games, if you can throw enough money at something, you can at least make it profitable, whether or not it catches fire like as a phenomenon. I don't think anyone's expecting Crucible to become the next Overwatch, but it could have at least been a profitable game. I'm looking at this screenshot that this VentureBeat article has from Steam DB. So it released on Steam a couple weeks back, and the peak concurrent players that it had when it first released. So most of your peak concurrents for most games are going to come within the first couple weeks of the game coming out, because that's when most interest is ginned up around it. Their peak concurrent player count was 25,000 players, which is nothing. Like that is an insignificant number especially for a free to play game. It's not like this is a game people had to pay for. This is a game that you could download for free. As of 24 hours ago, the peak concurrent players on Steam was 159 within the last 24 hours. And to just show that there is zero interest for this game, even on Twitch, like the peak concurrent views in the last 24 hours on Twitch is like 200 for the whole game. It's not like one stream. 200 people of all streams that were streaming Crucible, the peak concurrent viewer count on Twitch was 200 in the last 24 hours. That's not good. That's not good.
Oh, it is not.
And again, it's not to say that making games is easy, because it's not. Like good games take years and thousands and thousands of man hours to make good. And that's if you have a good idea and you can develop a good game base. But again, when you're Amazon and again, you have as much money as you want to spend on this thing, there's no excuse for this. Like, there just isn't. And I get that it's some people say, oh well, it's a copycat of like Overwatch and games like that, so why would it be successful? Well, there's tons of copycat games out there. Again, right. You can make something successful if you can bring in enough talented people, but you can't like dip your toe in the water and expect success to come to you. It doesn't work that way. Not in this industry. At least.
No. You gotta. Plus, you gotta kind of like it's like Amazon to just be like, well, we could do that, right? Like it like you said, if they feel like, well, we got the money, we want to make more money, let's just do this because it can't be that hard, right? And it just doesn't. It never works out. Well,
and here's the other thing too. It's funny how the bigger the company, the more prone they are to failure. Look at Stadia and how that just really hasn't caught fire like it should have. It really fucking should have if Google had really thrown weight behind it. And then like Apple Arcade, for example, I didn't put the story in the docket, but Apple Arcade said that they're going to start scaling back on how many games are offered in the service and instead focus on what type of games are offered in the service. And I can tell you with Apple Arcade, like I did the shit out of it the first month that I had, my iPhone, because I got a free month for it. I haven't had even the slightest temptation to go back and spend $5 a month on that service, because they haven't added enough new games or really any new games to pique my interest to get that money. Like I said when it first came out, when I first started using it, you just need to give me one game a month that piques my interest enough to get $5 from me. That's all you need to give me, and they couldn't even do that. So it's like you said, a lot of these companies have way too many bigger fish to fry, and to be successful in the game industry, we've seen it. That has to be a major focus that you have to put significant resources behind.
Exactly. You're not gonna come in here and outdo the people who've been making video games their entire company thrives on making video games. You're not just going to come in with your highfalutin, next day prime money and just think that you're gonna outdo these people. It's just funny to me. It's funny that corporations can just execute so much hubris, and it's just like, oh well, whatever. that people dedicate websites to all of the different inventions and things that have just been abandoned by these companies, and they're still the richest things in the world. It just is funny to me.
It's been a while since we've gotten to do one of these, but much as like the sun will rise in the east, you can be sure that there will eventually be a Kickstarter cautionary tale that we will talk about on the Dense Pixels podcast. In this case, the Wonderful 101. 6 weeks after the game is released in the Nintendo eShop, some Kickstarter backers still have not received their box copies of the game while they wait for this game to come out. Now, at least they were given a Steam code while they wait for the game, which is
okay.
nice. But again, if you don't play on PC, what the fuck are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I get that, but not much you can do there. And the reason given is because of the COVID situation, and I understand that's a fair reason. Certainly an unforeseen situation. But as someone who's backed many board games on Kickstarter, and as someone who has seen a couple projects on Kickstarter in the board game industry suffer a similar fate, this doesn't surprise me at all. So what you'll see, Micah, sometimes is when you back a board game on Kickstarter, one of the incentives is that Kickstarter backers often will get the game weeks before it hits retail shelves, because the first copies go to the backers that made the game possible, right? But what always happens is especially if it's like a bigger game that releases around the time that like the big board game trade shows are going on, the big conventions are going on, and they can get like 100 or 200 copies air freighted into the States. A lot of times the people at the cons can get it before the Kickstarter backers do, because they're waiting on the slow boat to come over from China. Yeah. And people get pissed when that shit happens, even though I could really understand the business purpose, because again, at those cons, you'll never again have an opportunity to have that many people concentrated in a small space to be able to sell, an easy 200 copies of the game at full retail price. So I understand why it happens, but again, if you're new to Kickstarter and Wonderful 101 was the first project you backed and you don't have your copy yet and the game's been out for 6 weeks, you're probably gonna be really fucking pissed off.
Yeah, I'd be a little perturbed, to say the least.
Mm-hmm. Now, the other problem is, and again, I can tie this back to board games as well, gamers in the UK that have ordered box copies that are getting them shipped in have found themselves subjected to a 16.82 pound. I don't know what cents are over there. It's a foreign concept. Pence. Okay, 16 pound, 82 pence. Import cost that was not advertised for the game. and since the game itself was 35 pounds, you're literally paying a 50% customs charge just to get the game delivered into your hands.
Yo, that's funny. I mean, it's messed up, but like,
and again, so like I said, this I've got a lot of things shipped into me. Shipments, customs charges especially are a motherfucker. Like they will fuck you up.
Yeah, man. That's why people are like, "Oh, I'm going to import this game." First of all, I can't understand it, right? And second of all, no.
I've had a couple companies send me watches to review from overseas, and it's like the first question I ask them is like, "You're reimbursing me for custom charges, right?" I'm not trying to pay that $50 for the privilege of reviewing your product. Sorry. Cost of doing business.
That's funny.
You wanted to talk about the two gameplay videos that were shown last week for two notable games.
Yeah. So let's get this first one out of the way. And I want this game to be good. I don't know. It's Marvel's Avengers. They have what they call the War Table. All of these are pretty standard. It is a slice of gameplay that they specifically want you to take a look at. The announcer was incredibly annoying, but that's neither here nor there. They show a new trailer. They introduce the villain, who is the mental organism designed only for killing, MODOK. And they show a new gameplay section. So apparently this game is kind of set up like a looter shooter, right? It's kind of like Destiny, but with Marvel characters. Mm-hmm. You have a hub that you go to called the Chimera. There are different vendors, different shops. They offer you different quests and stuff like that. Then you go to your war table and you select what type of mission you want to do. You can do a story mission, which is generally centered around a hero, or you can do, I forget what the other ones are called. Let's just call them strikes. You can do a strike. It's you and 3 other people can go on a strike. And if you don't have 3 other people, you can use the heroes that you have already collected to go on that strike with you. So I sense there's going to be a lot of repetition there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the actual gameplay demo itself, like I'm over the art style. I'm used to it now, right? Like it's not the best looking thing, but I'm used to it. The way that so they show a Thor mission, and the mission looks, it looks okay, but the animations look kind of janky.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently the combat director from God of War, the latest one, is spearheading the combat, which is, that's why people are making comparisons to Thor throwing his hammer, like Kratos threw his axe. It's pretty, right? Like there's a lot of particle effects, and there's no, but the animation is just, it feels weird. It feels stiff. Do you remember how like the Injustice games played?
Mm-hmm.
The animation feels like that, where it's okay, I'm going to run, but I can't turn a corner properly. So I got to get out of this animation and then into another animation. Like none of it is very fluid. You see Thor's doing a lot in this, right? He's doing a couple of rudimentary combos. The combat consists of light and heavy strikes, so it's not going to be anything. It will probably be mind numbing, right? Like you'll probably be able to get into a groove and just kind of mash your way through it, which is a little disappointing. But apparently, you got a lot of different systems that are going on here, and the way I don't know. Like I've seen reviewers, people who have broken down this trailer, and they're obviously like hardcore fans, right? Like I'm a fan of this stuff, but these are hardcore fans, and they're kind of justifying what they're seeing. But I still don't know. Like I get the flow of the game. That's not what I'm questioning. I just wonder how it plays.
Well, here's my concern. So one of the things that I keyed in on during this trailer is they talked about how the heroes are going to play differently. Even like your Hawk can play differently from my Hawk, depending on how you invest like skill points, because each character looks like they have like 5 different skill trees that you can buy abilities in, and mix and match. But here's the problem: that only works for a period of time, because unless they cap you on how much XP you can earn, at some point, like theoretically, you can unlock all the skills. Right, and unless there's that, which there probably is an XP cap. It is a game, it is a shared world game or whatever. So I'm sure there's only a set number of skill points that you can earn. I don't know. Like I said, it didn't do anything to excite me. I can tell you that. As far as wanting to get this game or even play this game, I'm not going to judge the looks of it too much because it's still an alpha. I do agree with you that the animations look a little janky. It also doesn't really, like, they didn't show off any boss battles, so like the only combat you got to see was against like normal enemies, basically, which like you said is probably gonna get really repetitive over time. I don't know, it's just it doesn't seem like a game that's coming out in 3 months. Very much is. Well, allegedly, we'll see if that holds true or not. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it's as far enough along as I would expect it to be, or it didn't look as good as I was expected to, given how far along it is. I guess is the best way to say it.
Yeah. So not much else to say about it. It looks like it'll be a real average ass game. And given, this isn't the same developers or anything, but I've read that Marvel, the company, has a dedicated games division that they are trying to take more seriously, right? Like they're trying to make, when you see something that's Marvel's blank, they want it to be quality. Like Marvel's Spider-Man has a certain level of polish to it, and I think it's the greatest superhero game ever. I'm not getting that kind of feeling when I'm watching this.
Well, and here's the other problem too. Much like every game of this ilk, content is king. We've already seen what a lack of content will do to a game like this. You just have to look
Yep.
at Anthem to
Mhm.
see, what's doing there. And I'm sorry, but if you're starting out with 5 heroes in the game or 6 heroes that you had to start out with
Yeah.
on day one, give each of those guys their own hero missions. Let's just say that they have 10 each. Let's be generous. I don't even think it would be that many, but let's
No.
say it's 10 each. Let's say that you have, um, you know, let's say 5 or 6 missions that are like shared hero missions that can progress the story maybe, and then they have these strikes that you talk about. Let's say there's 10 of them. Sounds like a lot. It's not, especially like Destiny strikes. Like Destiny strikes, there's 10 of those too. They all get fucking repetitive because you're playing the same 10 ones over and over again.
Right.
So unless you have really compelling gear to go after, it's tough, man. It's tough. We'll see. I wish the best for him, but so far it doesn't look like it's going to be anything special.
Yeah. This next game, it does look very special. It is Cyberpunk 2077. They had their first of I presume many now of what they call the Night City Wire. This is basically their 25-minute presentation. We saw a new trailer, which really gets you into the vibe. They break down the trailer. Half of this maybe like 10% of this thing talked about an anime that they're doing with Studio Trigger, which is good and all, but like that's not why I tuned into this. But you create your world. And then the last half of this was dedicated to something called Brain Dance. Now, the trailer, I mean, it's a trailer. It looks awesome, right? Like everything everything about this is really cool, and they talk about the different characters that you'll meet, and this is a very adult ass story. But then the big thing that they harped on was Brain Dance, and Brain Dance is kind of like you are doing investigating, and it's like when you played Arkham Asylum and you had to, or one of them Arkham games where you went into a specific area and had to do investigations and had to kind of use your bat computer in your head or whatever to recreate the situation that happened. That's kind of what Brain Dance is. And I mean, it looks interesting, but I hope there's not a lot of this, because it just it felt like it kind of, the presentation kind of felt like it ran into a brick wall when it got to this Brain Dance thing, because it was literally half of the presentation.
Yeah, and it's not like, it's cool and all, but it's not like hyper revolutionary. Like it's literally like essentially like you experience this scene, and then like you run it back on instant replay where you can pause and change camera angles and hack into things in the environment and that kind of stuff to kind of learn more about it. The Arkham Knight comparison that you made is very apt in terms of like reconstructing the scene of the crime that was a mechanic that they introduced in that game. I don't mind it if they're gonna use it as a tool to flesh out some of the side characters in the world. And I would think that that's probably gonna be relegated to a lot more like side mission kind of stuff. But we'll see what happens with that. I was actually more excited that they showed off some more of the different areas in the game, including like an outskirts area that you can travel to as well, which is a very different vibe than the rest of Night City gives you, for sure, which is good. You need that kind of stuff in a game like this, just to keep things fresh. And it seems like on the outskirts that most of the folks out there aren't like, cybernetically modded or anything like that. Like it seems like much more of a normal-ish area away from the town. So very, very Judge Dreddish in a lot of ways. It kind of reminded me of you know, you have the big mega city, and then, you know, the the barren waste or whatever the fuck they call it in there. It's cool. Like I said, I'm very excited for this game, but it's still a long way, so far away. So
Yeah, but yeah, I those are two games. One of them's a big game that I think are. I'll probably end up getting both because I'm me. But yeah, I'm super excited for Cyberpunk, and then I remembered, oh yeah, it's not coming until November.
yep.
But anyway, go to www.densepixels.com/Amazon. When you do that, you will be helping us by making your purchases. You pay nothing extra. You don't pay any import costs unless for some reason you're listening to this outside of the U.S. And we get a little bit of a kickback. It is the easiest way to help us out. Go to www.densepixels.com/Amazon. Normally, I would talk about the things that I have purchased. I purchased a new lens cap for my camera because I went out and took pictures of my family, and the lens cap fell off and broke and doesn't stay on there anymore. So I bought a new one. So you can do that by going to www.densepixels.com/Amazon.
So we talked last week about the reckoning of sexual abuse, just general abuse that's happening in the game industry. It's continued onward this week, much like Reddit and other YouTube and other spaces have in the world of politics have finally read their terms of service and are actually laying down bans on people that probably don't need to be platformed on these areas. Twitch has decided to start rolling out permabans to folks that have been credibly accused of sexual assault or assault and things of that nature as well. This is definitely a good thing for sure. We'll see how permanent those bans are, because they also handed out a ban to Dr. Disrespect, who we've talked about on this show before.
Was he banned before?
He was banned before, and it lasted like 2 days or 2 weeks, or however, it wasn't very long. Reportedly, his ban this time is going to be permanent. They've not announced the reason why. They've apparently told him why. He will not reveal the reason for the ban. Again, reportedly, people think it's because he was spreading around dangerous, like, COVID bullshit, conspiracy theories and shit like that, which he's been prone to do in the past before.
You don't say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just looking at this dude, and it's like, oh, okay. I 100% believe it.
But Twitch won't say why. He won't say why. So we're left to speculate idly. Another dipshit that Twitch banned is the president of the United States, who had a Twitch channel. I don't know if you realize. And they've suspended his Twitch account for hateful conduct, for basically replaying his campaign kickoff speech from 2015, where he said some not great things about Hispanic folks.
Jesus.
That's pretty funny to me that he fucking ran back the kickoff of his presidential campaign. Twitch like, hate speech, click.
Yeah, yo. Wow, dude.
Ubisoft has put several executives on administrative leave, again in the wake of credible allegations of misconduct against folks. Again, very good. But there's one story, and I hesitated to kind of get into this story. So Ashraf Ismail is the director, or I should say was the director of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. During everything that was going on here, a former, I guess you could say girlfriend of his, who he was stepping out on his wife with, basically outed their relationship on social media. But here's where I have an issue with this. So he stepped down from his director position to deal with his fucking family shit, which obviously just got blown the fuck up. Like, she posted pictures of him sexting her, and and like, you know, him begging her not to like reveal anything, you know, because he's like, oh, I've got a wife and 2 kids, like, you know, please don't do this, that kind of shit. But it was a consensual relationship, and I don't necessarily feel great about blasting a dude for being a dick and cheating on his wife publicly like that, for 2 reasons. Neither of them has to do with looking out for him specifically, because I couldn't care less. Don't fucking cheat on your wife. That's not cool. But I feel like that this story, I don't want to say cheapens, but this is not the same as someone being sexually assaulted or professionally assaulted, or you know, receiving unwanted advances from male superiors or things of that nature. This is not what that is.
Okay, I'm glad you clarified that, because I only heard about this story tangentially. I get kind of sick of hearing about how men are just fucking everything up. So I kind of tuned out of, the news for a while. And I just, maybe that's bad on me, but I just assumed that this dude was like a predator.
No, that again, all the information that we have in front of us, reported that this was a consensual relationship that they had with each other, and she found out that he was married, and she got upset about it. Like, in her own words, when she posted it, she said, like, this was nowhere near sexual assault or anything, but seeing the amount of support that they were getting made me feel like this would be okay. She DM'd to Vice Games, who reported the story. The other problem that I have with it is, do you think this is really fair to his wife and kids to have this shit put out on blast like this? Because they are also victims in this as well,
right?
And you have now forced their embarrassment, their shame in this situation, to the public light. I'm not saying that she shouldn't have told his wife. Like, sure, if you found out, he's cheating on you, and you're pissed off about it, and you want to fuck his shit up, sure, tell his wife. But let them deal with that shit in private. Like, don't just fucking blast the shit out on Twitter, because now you are putting her shit out there, and she didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like I said, that it made me feel some kind of way, and I wasn't sure how to best approach it, I guess you could say. But again, I'm all for people speaking out when they've been wronged in certainly, in a legal fashion. Sexual assault and things like that are very serious. And to me, I don't feel like this rises to the level that a lot of these other claims has risen to.
Yeah, this is all right. Look,
and by the way, I feel like a fucking douchebag too fucking, like, I kind of wish Carrie was here, because I would enjoy her perspective, for a variety of different reasons.
Right, we're 2 dudes who don't cheat on our wives, so but we're this is weird. This is weird. Look, as far as this dude, him stepping out on his wife is enough for me to be like, all right, you as a person, we can't hang out. But for this dude to lose his job for it,
well, he stepped down himself. He did not. Ubisoft did not ask him to leave. Like, I'm sure his personal life started falling apart around him when this happened. So he made the choice to step down from the last 4 months of development from this huge game that he's been working on, because he has to try to save his family, I suppose.
Okay, but at the same time, right? Like, I don't want this to be the example that MRAs use to
also correct.
Right, like, because like, nah, like, this isn't, no, okay, and this is a sticky wicket, man. This is a sticky wicket, and I feel like we should be able to talk about it, but at the same time, like, what can I say? Like, this is one of those situations where I think it's, we tell white people to just, shut up and listen sometimes.
Mhm.
This is me shutting up right now and listening because I.
And look, you can disagree with this. Tell us that we're wrong. I welcome that, but like I say, it just to me when my knee jerk reaction when I first read this is I'm just like I don't feel like this is in the same ballpark as some of these.
I do agree with you there.
Yeah.
This doesn't, this dude doesn't. If she came out and said that he is not like he didn't force himself or he didn't coerce me or if she vouched for him and she straight up was just like, yeah, I was just kind of jealous that he wouldn't leave his wife,
Mhm.
then
Or even like she was pissed off that he that he lied to her and then he wronged her as well.
oh, okay, yeah, because he didn't
Right,
tell
he didn't
her
reveal
that,
that he was married. And again, makes him a scumbag, makes
right,
him
yeah.
a fucking substandard human being.
This dude is a prick, yo.
But again, it's not the same as being like a sexual predator or leveraging sexual favors or unwanted advances, to gateway someone's promotion or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's not the same thing.
Yeah, it's not.
It's just not. And again, the people I feel the worst for are his family, who I don't
Absolutely.
know if they deserve to have this stuff just thrown out there in the ether like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're the true victims here. And all right. Good luck to his family. Fuck him.
We go to the post office, not to make a jarring shift to much lighter fare. Kevin asks, "What is the meaning of life, Micah?"
To live it.
Yeah, here you want the nihilistic view. Make the best of it while you're here.
Yes,
we're all just kind of passing through on our way to wherever. So make the most of it. Malcolm says, in your opinion, what is the most impactful death in a video game? He throws out Dominic Santiago as number one, of course, from Gears of War.
The most impactful.
It's tough.
Yeah, because the first, your first instinct is to go with the what is arguably the most well-known death in a video game, which is Final Fantasy VII, right? But
that is not my first instinct.
Oh, really?
To go with that? No, I mean, you know why? Because it's been done to death. It's been
exactly. That's why I figured people would go there first, because everyone does it, right? Like, people still haven't gotten over it. Like, get over it. Get over it. Yeah, wow. Dominic dying in Gears was probably the most like his whole arc, man, of he was the fun-loving sidekick to gruff ass Marcus, and Marcus was yeah, right, and Dominic was over there cracking jokes, and in the second one, he kind of mellowed out a bit because his wife was sick, and then his wife died, and then the third one, he was a broken man, dude, and he just didn't have anything else to live for, and he had a wonderful arc in a game where walking dicks shoot other alien walking dicks with chainsaw guns. You know what I mean? So I'll give him that, but I can't think of any deaths that like truly
bullshit
affected me.
Bullshit. You're full of it.
What?
You're full of it. Morden dying in Mass Effect 3.
Oh, damn. Oh, and I love that character so much, man. Oh, why did you have to remind me of that?
And it's like that scene sucks. If you make the Paragon choice, it sucks way harder if you go True Renegade in that situation. Because in True Renegade, you're stopping him from delivering the genophage cure, essentially, because you've decided not to do that, and you basically shoot him in the back as he's walking to the elevator,
I ain't do that.
he's still like you still see the scene at the top where he's like crawling towards the control panel, and he just like dies right before he's able to upload the cure. It's fucking heartbreaking. If you've never seen it, it'll make that scene like 10 times worse for you.
Yo,
I'm sorry to have to do that to you, but
if you chose that option, you're a monster, dude. You really are.
Yeah, it's that was a rough one. That was a rough one.
Yo, I totally forgot about it. He was such a wonderful character too, man.
So that's it for me. Even though his death doesn't necessarily have as big of an impact on the story itself, it was just crushing death. And even later in that game too, Captain Anderson dying was not fun either. So
no, it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun at all.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it.
There's a lot of sad shit that happened. I don't know if you know. Pretty sad fucking game.
People are all mad about the ending.
Right.
But they're mad about the ending because all their friends died.
Anthony asks, he has 2 questions. First one is specifically geared towards me. Thoughts on Destiny sunsetting armor and weapons? So, Micah, you might not be aware of this. Starting this season, any weapons in Destiny that are older than a year old are going to have a maximum power level that they are able to attain. So kind of similar to how things were in Destiny, original Destiny, way back when, before Taken King even came out as at each. So that like the max power level for this season that's coming up is going to be 1060. And any gun that comes out, that came out 12 months prior or earlier, will have their power maxed out at 1060. So as the power level increases in future seasons, those guns will not be able to level up to max power, which means you can still use them in low-level activities like Crucible, or unranked Crucible, I should say, like strikes, things like that. But in any high-level activity where power scales, so like the most recent raid, competitive PvP, Nightfall strikes, things of that nature, those guns won't be viable anymore. And the point of this is to kind of mix up the weapon pool a little bit, because there are so many like just kind of quote unquote default loadouts that people use for high level content, just because they made some guns that are just stupidly good, especially in year 2 of Destiny when they introduced the pinnacle weapon system. A lot of people in the community are not happy about this for a couple reasons. One of which is that they will be putting these guns back into the pool at some point over time, but you'll have to like regrind for them, and it won't be different probably appreciably than the version of the weapon you had prior, which is kind of stupid. I understand that. But also just because too, like, these guns are fun to use, and it just kind of sucks that people won't be able to use them anymore in all the content that they want to use them. Now, it's not preventing you from using them in low level content. Like, you can still use them in there to your heart's content. I don't know. It's tough, right? Because it must also suck for them to have these guns that they design, going on 2 years ago in some cases. Like Recluse is still a god tier weapon, and it's 18 months old, and it's like a default loadout weapon for any high level content because its TTK is just insane. Mountaintop was like that for a while, the grenade launcher. So I get it's tough though. It's tough, man, because designing a game is hard, and designing a game like Destiny is that much harder. So I say give it a chance.
So you said they're going to kind of, those weapons will be kind of taken out of the pool, but they'll be coming back, and you just have to grind them again.
So basically what they'll do is every season they'll bring back, a couple legacy guns into the pool, quote unquote, like old weapons that you can then get with the higher, like, that you can level up to higher versions of the power level. If that makes sense. But they're not going to be, but it's not like they're going to come with like different perks or, different abilities that the old version didn't have. Like, you could theoretically have a year 2 version of a gun that caps out at 1060 and then a year later get like a year 4 version of a gun, of the same gun with the same perks that can just cap out at a higher power level
with no additional like
features, right?
oh, I would prefer that if you're going to do this, I would prefer they don't do that
Mm-hmm.
and just you know, I mean, it's easy. I'm sitting here in a chair behind a microphone, not designing games, but I would prefer that they not do that
Mm-hmm.
and just force people to. If you're going to force those weapons out, keep them out. Don't tease me with, nostalgia
Mm-hmm.
and use these guns that. Well, I guess if you're good enough, you don't need the extra perks, but like the perks make it fun to use also,
Well,
right?
what people are also upset is that the premise behind this is Bungie's like, oh, don't worry, we'll make cool weapons that you get to use as well. And people are like, but you could do that anyway. Like you could still make cool guns that we're gonna want to use. And if the guns are as cool as you say they are, sunsetting will happen naturally. You know what I mean? But on the other side of the equation, you have the power creep argument, where the more powerful and cool shit you make, eventually you just keep pushing the envelope, more powerful, and that's not sustainable either. It's tough.
You can't.
It's a tough situation. Look, they're trying it, and if it doesn't work, I can't imagine that it's going to be that hard of a switch to flip back if it's really not working well.
Yeah,
within the confines of the game, we'll see. I think a lot of people are freaking out about it though, and people just need to chill out, relax.
that game amazes me how the characters in that game are the guns. Like each one has a name, each one has a story, and there's more like it's and people love them. People love them like children, like gun nuts, like ammo sexuals or whatever they're called, right? And they don't want to see them go. Like they're like pets, and you don't want to see your pet. Like it's like having to take your pet to be put down and then saying, but you'll like this new pet. Like, well, no, I like this pet. And then you get the new pet and you're like, oh, hey. And then the cycle goes over and over again. It's funny to me,
man. Anthony also asked, will there be another boom of peripheral accessory gaming a la Guitar Hero and Rock Band? No.
I highly doubt it.
They tried to bring Guitar Hero back and it bombed. So no, I don't think you're ever going to see that again. People just don't want plastic bullshit sitting in their house anymore.
Yeah, I had a Rock Band set at the palatial ground floor studio apartment. I forget what I call it, but yeah, I had it, and I maybe used it like 3 or 4 times when my friends came over to my place, but it was too small. So it was like, why are we hanging over at Micah's place? And now he's got all these stupid plastic instruments all over the place. So I don't think they will, and I hope they won't.
I would agree. Cam asks, how excited is Micah to know that his son won't have to live much longer in a world where a current version of Pokemon Snap doesn't exist?
Well, hopefully he will be a virgin while playing that game. Otherwise, I've been a bad parent.
Yeah. Trey asks, now that we have The Last of Us 2 out of the way, how excited are you guys for Ghost of Tsushima, a.k.a. the Black Weeb's Game of the Year 2K20?
I mean, that might as well be the subtitle for the game because that's how I feel about it. I feel like I'm getting into my Weeb bag, and I can't wait to play it. I can't wait to turn the language to all Japanese and go through this game. I don't know if I'll play it in black and white. Depends on where I'm playing it. If I'm playing it up here or if I'm playing it downstairs. If I'm playing it downstairs, I might play it in black and white because that's where the big TV is. If I'm playing it on this monitor, I was just like, all right, I ain't doing all that. But yeah, man, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Leonardo says, since Danny Trejo loves playing Animal Crossing and sometimes visiting random folks' islands, what celebrity would you like to spend an hour or so playing a video game with?
One of my favorite actors, who I don't know if he gets the credit he deserves or if he does, and I just don't see it. but is Don Cheadle. I love Don Cheadle as an actor, and, and as a human being. He's a good dude, and I feel like Don Cheadle would talk a lot of shit. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? But like in a good way. When you and your friends are playing fighting games and you're just talking shit. And I feel like he would be a good dude to just kind of hang out with and like play some Street Fighter. You know what I mean?
For me, I like when it comes to celebrities in video games, I'm much more of like I enjoy the celebrities that are genuinely into it and
Mhm.
don't just fucking like, oh, I love video games because it makes me more approachable and popular, like kind of deal.
Mhm.
I think Xavier Woods would be tremendous amount of fun to play almost anything with for an hour. That dude is as big a nerd as you or I, much bigger. In
I mean,
fact,
you talk about black weebs. I mean, there you go,
and
man.
he has a tremendous amount of zeal when talking about video games. Pretty much anyone that he brings on up, down, down, I feel like almost is a worthwhile person to play games with.
There you go.
A lot of fun. Apparently, Big Show is also quite a Destiny player. It'd be fun to run a raid.
Sure, that's funny.
John says, speaking of pro wrestling, it may be finally facing its own Me Too with the hashtag Speaking Out movement, and also the COVID woes that are currently being experienced by WWE and to a lesser extent AEW. Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm all for calling people out on their bullshit. Just yeah, it's good, and I'm glad that it's taken some brave folks that have given others the courage to be brave as well.
Yep. All it takes is one or two people to just be like, you know, to just be like, enough is enough, and it's time for a change.
Right? As far as the COVID situation, I mean, look, companies are gonna find ways to use whatever inch the government gives them, and take a mile. So you want to blame anyone for that? Blame Ron DeSantis. Honestly,
Yeah. Yeah.
he's a big reason that that's popping off the way that it is right now.
Yep.
Anthony says that the PlayStation 6/Xbox Series S could produce gaming like a Stark Technology hologram thing that could do all the entertainment stuff we're used to. But with the size of an 80s record player cabinet for $1,000, how widespread do you think it would be? It's an interesting question. For those that don't know, back when your parents were in their 20s, record players used to come in like the size of like your entertainment center, like, or the cabinet that goes next to your entertainment center, basically, because it was like a record player built in like a speaker, essentially.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm trying to think of something contemporary to compare it to.
There isn't, because
I really
we
can't.
scanned down all of our electronics. How widespread do you think it would be if it works well and it's legit? People would buy it. I think eventually you have to get it down to a smaller size to really get it embraced by the mainstream, but there's definitely early adopters that would buy that shit for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
At $1,000. At $1,000, I don't think it would be incredibly widespread, but you know, people would buy it. Like everyone. My future brother-in-law, future as of Friday, my future brother-in-law, is he tried VR for the first time, and he was trying to sell me on it, and I'm like, look, you don't have to sell me on it. I would love to do it, but I got to prioritize where my money goes right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not. That's not for me. But yeah, this would work, but it's a lot of money, man.
Johnny says, name some 2020 games that haven't disappointed you this year. See, for me, like I'm not playing new shit. I'm going back and playing some stuff that I missed, just because it flew under the radar for me. So like my big games this year so far have been Children of Morta, which has been great, Moonlighter, which has been great, Super Mega Baseball, which has been great in the very limited time that I spent with it so far. Bloodstained, I missed. That has been pretty cool as well. Obviously, I'm also just pretty much playing stuff on the Switch, and that's it this year. So, yeah. So for me, like I haven't had the chance to be disappointed by a 2020 game because I don't know that I've purchased a 2020 game at this point.
I'm looking at.
Oh, and wait, I'm sorry. The correct answer to this question is Animal Crossing, even though neither of us have played it. Like, come on. Like everyone and their fucking mothers playing that game and enjoying it.
I'm looking at a list of games that came out in 2020. What is he talking about? Like Persona 5 Royal. Does that technically count?
Technically.
He loves that
2020,
game.
yeah.
Right. So get out of here. You love that game. I don't hate Final Fantasy VII Remake. I actually enjoyed it. Streets of Rage I enjoyed. It wasn't a disappointment. Like there's stuff out here. It's in what 2 weeks I'm going to be playing the Black Weeb Game of the Year.
Right.
I guarantee you that's not going to disappoint me.
It's and the thing is too, like I think the benchmark for disappointment is just because like Capcom had been knocking it out of the park for like 4 straight years, that when Resident Evil 3 was just kind of all right, like that was a bit of a step back.
Yeah.
From what had been previous. So I don't know. It has been that bad of a year, Johnny. Stop being a fatalist. Eric says, if you were making a video game, which 2 voice actor or actresses would be a must-have? Now, without knowing what type of game you're making, it's kind of hard to just throw out blanket names out there because you want to get people that would do well by the characters. That being said, if I have a female lead in the game, chances are I'm probably going to try to get Jennifer Hale to voice her.
Yeah.
Male characters, it depends on the character.
It really depends. I can't. Whenever I play a game where I can create my own character that can speak, he invariably sounds like a white man, and I don't make white man characters. I generally make black men characters because I'm a black dude and I want to role play. And like V, I heard V's voice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really feeling V's voice. It's a fine sounding voice, but it's just not for me, right? It's not as bad as like male Commander Shepard's voice, which is I still do not like it. But I'll probably be playing as a woman because I heard the female voices can go either way for me, but I know when I'm hearing a white man talk. And
we do sound very distinct.
Right. Could you imagine your voice coming out of my mouth? No. I don't think so. But you got your mainstays, right? Like I would like Kevin Michael Richardson he has a wide range.
Mm-hmm.
Like he could play, he does play a white guy in the Cleveland show, and he's a big black dude who has a big deep voice. I would love to see him voice a video game character. And yeah, Jennifer Hale is just like, she's the queen, right? She's the queen of voice actors. That's why it's one of the reasons why female Commander Shepards play like it feels like it's acted differently because she's so good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm gonna steal your Jennifer Hale answer, and then I'm gonna say Kevin Michael Richardson because he can play anything.
Finally, Jacob says he listened to an interview with Tommy Tallarico on another podcast he did that got excited. It got him excited about the Intellivision console. He thinks it's going to be a great console that can fit into its own corner of gaming. That could be really good if done right. So here's the thing, though. History would suggest that this is not going to be successful because there's been a ton of quote-unquote consoles that are going to occupy their own space of the industry that have not really gone well, like the Ouya.
Yeah, I was about to say.
And again, the Ouya had a lot of support when it first came out. It had, strong development team. But the problem is that if you can't find a niche audience to buy your product, that's at least somewhat substantial in size, it's not going to be successful, because game developers aren't going to hang around and make stuff for a system that no one's buying anything for.
Yeah.
And you need games to make your game console successful. So it might come out of the gates strong. Come see me in 6 months. like that. That's the thing. That's the thing that you have to keep in mind, is that you got to give it 6 months. Don't base it on when it first comes out. You got to wait and see. You got to wait and see. And I don't know that the price point is where it needs to be as well to get people on board. I'm trying to pull it up again right now. What's the damn thing called? Do you remember?
What, the Ouya?
No, the new Intellivision console that's coming out.
I can't remember. This is riveting stuff.
It's the Amico is what's coming out, and it's going to be $250. And when you can get a Nintendo Switch or for around that price, it's a hard sell. It is like the people that are going to be buying this console is a very small group of folks that are really excited about it, and people that are curious that have enough disposable income to just throw away $300, and even if it's not successful, who cares? And the other problem is too. So like to be fair, I haven't done a ton of research on the console. So, and I probably should, but just from the trailer that I'm seeing, the type of games that you're seeing on this thing, they already exist in other areas. I mean? Like you can easily find these type of games on the Switch, on Steam if you want to, that kind of stuff. So
some of them look like you can find them on your phone.
Yeah, that's probably true as well. So like I said, I hope it's good. The controllers, I'm not too sure about. It looks like they took a Dreamcast VMU and modernized it for the modern era. Yeah. And they seem a little gimmicky. Again, gimmicky controllers are great if you're Nintendo. They're not so great if you're literally anybody else.
Right. They're great if you're Nintendo, and not really. No, they're not. Even if you are Nintendo. So right. Yeah, this is not. Wow. I honestly didn't know. I didn't know too much about this thing. I hadn't even seen it. Mm-hmm. And this does not look like something worth investing in. But, what do I know? Maybe you'll have a very good time playing a 3D version of Asteroids.
But again, like I said, it's Ouya had the same launch premise. Like, hey, here's this thing, and it's going to be kind of cheap, and the games are going to be inexpensive, and they're going to be super affordable, and it's going to be different, and there's going to be unique stuff to it, and it just never caught fire. But we'll see what happens. I wish Tommy Talrico the best, but I would not be a day one buyer of this console for sure. No, I would wait. I would wait for it to prove its bona fides before investing into it.
Yeah, I would never get it, but I don't think that we're necessarily the market, right?
I would agree. I mean, they literally advertise it as premium family friendly game. So like we are not who they're chasing. But again, I feel like that is who you have to chase. The Wii is the exception, not the rule when it comes to the marketplace of video games.
Yeah.
So, but we shall see. I'm happy to be proven wrong. Just doesn't happen very often. So that is it for us this week. Make sure that you subscribe to our fan group, densepixels.com/fans, and you can submit your questions as well when we put up the post office every week. Like Micah mentioned, make sure you're subscribing to this show and the other TNT Studio shows wherever you get your podcast. Swing on over to youtube.com/10pixels and click subscribe there as well. While you're giving out subscriptions like they're candy on Halloween, head over to Twitch and follow Terrence at Apparition410 and follow Carrie at Carrie. again, that is it. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and we will see you all the next week.
See you.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.